From NAFB in Kansas City, we're at Trade Talk, and we're going to visit with Bruce Eberle. He's with Rabobank, based out of Grand Island, Nebraska. Bruce, let's first of all talk about, well, you're kind of the livestock specialist for Rabobank out in our part of the world, but talk about the livestock industry. Expansion is the big word right now.
Yes, expansion is the big word. Everybody's trying to figure out how to grow a few more head of whatever they're producing. And, we've covered up some of the demand with just larger animals to market, and that helps because the packers are not backing away from those bigger animals. But in the beef side, it's a long curve to grow that cow herd. You've got to grow the replacements before you can grow the commercial herd. And we're seeing guys, culling less on the herd so that they keep more of the girls in the herd that can produce. We're seeing some feed yards that had procurement cattle coming in, and they're peeling off some of those better heifers and developing those for breeding stock. Those are a few of the things that we're seeing out there. We're seeing guys trying to do more of a modified cow project where they're maybe not running them in the traditional pasture or the big ranches. They're trying to do it in some kind of a modified confinement system, maybe some hoop barns or pens. So that's, guys are trying different things to bring more cattle into the marketplace, but it does take time to do that. And one of the things that I think we need to watch is pork and poultry are also doing the same things, and the life cycles there are a little bit shorter, so they might get in a little more competitive position sooner than we can get there. So, we're still very favorable toward beef for the next year, so I think it's going to be a good run for a while here. But risk management is important also, because once that market does change, you don't want to be caught real long on historic high prices on these cattle. So a couple of things to think about. How can we expand Rabo AgriFinance? We help people do that, financing their operations and providing insurance and risk management. So there's a lot of ways we can help out. And then, looking down the road, just be ready for changes. It will come.
Well, it seems like demand has held up even with the higher prices, so consumers still stepping up for beef, aren't they?
I think that's a very interesting testimony to the quality of the products that we produce in agriculture. People are buying the products at higher prices, and they're consistently doing so, both domestically and our export trade partners are still buying these products. So right now, about 47% of the money that we spend on food is at restaurants. So a lot of people are eating at a restaurant, and so there's a little bit more cushion in the margins. As you deliver a higher price, say a steak, to a restaurant, there, maybe there's some of those margins are being, those price increases are being buffered to the consumer, so they're not seeing it quite as readily there as buying it over the retail counter. So that's been helpful, but at the same time, beef is the flavor meat. That's where you go to get just a great muscle cut or a great ground product.
Well, you mentioned it's going to take time for us to build this cow herd. Once we get there, are we positioned to kind of be at a good level to keep these livestock producers in business the way they're expanding?
Well, I hope so. We've loved to see the young guys coming back in, and they need a long-term opportunity in agriculture. So we're very happy to have the strength in our industry right now. As far as positioning for the future, I think that's why we get out of bed every morning. We got to manage our operations, and good managers do two things well. They drive revenue, they figure out how to produce the revenue they need in their business, and they manage expenses. Right now, when times are good, it's tempting to kind of get a little loose with the expenses, but this is the time when you really need to be building efficiency, because when it changes, then it's a lot harder to make those types of decisions. So I would encourage guys to really pay attention to those budgets, build a plan, follow it. It's just a plan. It's going to change, but at least have an idea what works in your business.
We got better with that as producers, maybe setting something back during the good times for when things get lean.
My personal observation is I think that we've seen a big improvement in the younger generation of producers. I think we've seen more guys coming back to the farm with a degree, of some kind, where they've had to sit down and do the math on a budget, so they understand how that all works. Budgets really aren't for lenders. Contrary to popular belief, we want these producers to understand, what it costs to produce the revenue and to manage that margin.
That is Bruce Eberle here with Rabobank at NAFB Trade Talk from Kansas City. I'm Joe Gangwish.